Hello everyone, let's go ahead with a quick revision of the topics that we have already covered. So, the carbon and its compounds is our first topic, and let's see where we need to focus on it. The important topics that are to be covered are the versatile nature of carbon, the properties of compounds, homologous series, electron dot structures that we have already done. Important thing is that this chapter is having certain deletions. Okay, so nomenclature, functional group, difference between saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons, soap detergent, ethanoic acid, ethanol. Properties, chemical properties of carbon compounds are not in your course. You have to go through till only page number 67 in this chapter. Let's quickly revise what we have studied so far. The versatile nature of carbon. It is due to the basic property that is called catenation, where it allows the element to link with one another, forming the chains of identical atoms. Okay, so carbon exhibits this particular property, and due to this property of catenation, carbon atom can form various types of straight chains. And so we have unlimited compounds that we have. So this is catenation. It can form the bonds in series. It can form chains branched. Okay, so it has a tendency to form various bonds. Since carbon to carbon compound bond is very strong, these compounds are exceptionally stable. So carbon is able to form the compounds that are stable. No other element exhibits this property of catenation to the extent that is seen in carbon. Okay, yes, silicon also forms covalent compounds. It can form bond with itself, but the silicon-silicon bond is not as strong as the carbon-carbon bond is. Okay, up to 6, 7 or 8 atoms silicon form the chain, but multiple series or multiple combinations of silicon-silicon bond is not possible due to the interbond energy that is there. Now the formation of multiple bonds. Due to its small size, the carbon is capable of forming multiple bonds with other carbon atoms. This further gives rise to a large variety of compounds as ethene. When only two carbons are combining, they can form single bond in between, they can form double bond in between, and they can form triple bond in between. Okay. The Tetra Valency, that means the carbon has the ability to combine with 4 different atoms and so form 4 different bonds. So it can form 4 different bonds with different types of atoms. Okay, it can be same. We have hydrogen all everywhere. We can have another carbon here, or we can have any other atom also. If I remove this hydrogen and I place one carbon here, so it will be a different compound, and obviously this carbon will be requiring more hydrogens to be attached, right? Suppose this carbon-carbon compound is having a double bond. So one hydrogen is to be removed to satisfy the valency of carbon. So it is another compound that we had before. Okay, so in this way it can form different types of bonds due to its tetravalency nature. Okay, next we have, there are two types of compounds. As we have seen, the carbon-carbon chain can have all single bonds. These are the saturated compounds, where all the bonds between the carbon atoms are single. We can have a chain where we have a double bond or a triple bond between two carbons, any two of the carbons, not necessarily between all the carbons. Okay, so when we are having a double or triple bond between any two of the carbons in the chain, We call them unsaturated hydrocarbons, and they are the alkenes if double bond and alkynes if the single bond is present. As for their general formula, the alkanes are having formula CnH2n plus 2. Alkenes are having CnH2n, that means for every 2 carbons we have 4 hydrogens. CnH2n minus 2, that means for every 2 carbons we have 2 hydrogens. मतलब जितने carbons हैं उनको आप double करेंगे, minus 2 करेंगे, then we will having the number of hydrogens for alkynes. Now the carbon is able to form different chains, rings and branches also. Like if we have 4 or 5 or 6 carbons, they can be present in a single chain. They can form a ring-like structure also, and they can be in branched form also. Okay, so these are the branching of the same number of carbon atoms are called the isomers. Coming to periodic classification of elements, we have all the chapter to be covered. There's no deletion in this chapter, absolutely no deletion. Important is the Mendeleev's periodic table, its merits and demerits. Although you need to do the Dobrainer's and Uland's theory also, basically their theory and the demerits, but focus will be on Mendeleev's periodic table. Why the position, what was the main drawback was that he could not justify the position of hydrogen, and he could not place the isotopes as well. Okay. Then comparison of the elements on the basis of various properties that we'll be studying so far. Like we have studied these properties, moving in a group, moving in a period or down the group. Okay, we are moving left to right, we are moving down. The different properties change in the different way, right? So when the electron shells, the shells, number of shells remain the same as we move along a period. As we move down the group, the electron shell increases. The valence electrons increase as we move left to right. As we move down, the valence electrons will remain the same. The electronegativity increases as we move left to right. Ionization energy increases as we move left to right. Electronegativity will decrease as we move down. Ionization energy will decrease as we move down. Electron affinity to attract an electron, to gain an electron will increase as we move left to right. It will decrease as we move down. The metallic character will decrease left to right. The non-metallic character, the metallic character will increase as we go down. The non-metallic character will decrease as we go down, and the non-metallic character will increase as we go left to right. Coming to the chapter 8, how do organisms reproduce? We need to know about the asexual reproduction, the types of asexual reproduction: fission, budding, regeneration, spore formation, vegetative propagation. Okay, with their examples. Also, why sexual reproduction is important, how it is beneficial over the asexual reproduction. Given two organisms, which one will have the more probability to survive? The one who is going sexual reproduction or the one who is undergoing the asexual reproduction? Vegetative propagation. Why is it shown in some plants? Then the difference between the pollination and fertilization. Pollination is the release of the pollens, that is the release of the male gametes from the anther. Fertilization is when the male gametes go and fuse the egg cell, that means the female gamete. Okay, diagram of the flower with labeling, diagram of the male and female reproductive organs with labeling. Full form of the few terms: HIV, AIDS, IUCD, STD. Okay. Then the functions and positions of testis. Where is testis located? The reason why is it located there in the scrotum? Why? Because the testis, the formation of sperm require the temperature that is lower than the normal human body temperature. So it is placed outside the body. Ovaries are present in the lower abdominal area of the females. Placenta is there. It is the cord that is joined through which the fetus is joined to the mother's body, and it is gaining nutrition through it. Testosterone, male reproductive organ. Estrogen, female reproductive organ. Then methods of family planning, methods of prevention of unwanted pregnancies or population control. There are three basic methods. One, barrier. Second, the surgical methods. Third, the pills or the medicines that are taken. So you need to know about them and with examples. Then definition of vasectomy, tubectomy, menstrual cycle. Also you should know the place and site of the production of the eggs, where the fertilization takes place, where the eggs are produced. The eggs are produced in the ovaries. The fertilization takes place in fallopian tube, and the implantation of the zygote takes place in uterus. Be clear with your concepts. What happens to the inner lining of uterus when there is the eggs are not released? Before the release of fertilized eggs, matlab when the eggs are released from the ovaries, these are not fertilized. ठीक है, तो उससे पहले क्या होता है? The uterus is preparing itself for the zygote. The uterine lines will swell up. It will be having. So when a fertilized egg means zygote, once the egg is fertilized by the sperm, ठीक है, so when it is fertilized, it will come and implant itself in the uterus. So the uterine walls will grow thick before its arrival, ठीक है, and it will be heavily densely located, densely placed with the blood vessels, so that full on nourishment can be provided to the growing embryo, right? When the fertilization doesn't occur, this preparation has happened, the fertilization doesn't occur, nothing will come and get implanted in the uterus. What will happen? These linings will shed away. Okay, basic uterus जो पहले body structure था वो रहेगा, जो extra thickening हुई थी that will shed away, broken down and shed away in the form of blood and mucus outside the body through vagina. Okay, so there is no deletion in this chapter, absolutely not. Coming to heredity and evolution. The Mendel's experiments, the experiments he did with the pea plants. Why the pea plants are chosen? They are quickly growing, their traits are easily observable. Okay, what is DNA? What is the role of DNA? That you should know. Deoxyribonucleic acid, role क्या है? Inheritance of या continuation of characters. Where is it located? In the chromosomes. Chromosomes are placed inside the nucleus of the atom. Mendel worked with two generations. He cross-pollinated the original species, and then the first generation was hybrid. The hybrids were self-pollinated. अपने आपस में उनको pollinate करा गया और फिर result देखा गया. Contextualized questions on sex determination, मतलब how the sex of the offspring is known. कैसे पता लगेगा वो मेल है या फीमेल है? वो XY वाला डायग्राम करके आप बताएंगे. Acquired and inherited traits. There are certain traits which are inherited that I can see in my family that I have inherited. There are certain traits that I have acquired because of my environment. Okay, or if we see that suppose I'm going somewhere or due to some accident any of my body part is amputated, मेरी finger कट जाती है या मेरा पैर या मेरा हाथ कट जाता है, so that does not affect my upcoming generation. ठीक है, मतलब accidental amputation of any of my body part will not affect my generation that is coming up, क्योंकि वो एक accident है. It is not in my genes. Okay, there are certain cases where the child is born without a particular limb. कुछ क्रोमोसोमल डिसऑर्डर्स होते हैं कि अगर वो बिना फिंगर के या बिना प्रॉपर लिम्स के पैदा हुआ, इन दैट केस द क्रोमोसोमल प्रॉब्लम कैन बी देयर, सो दैट माइट बी इनहेरिटेड. ठीक है, सो दैट हैज़ टू बी स्टडीड. बेनिफिट्स ऑफ मेंडल एक्सपेरिमेंट्स ऑन पी प्लांट, ये आपको भैया क्यों लिया, क्या ज़रूरत थी और अब क्या हम उसका फ़ायदा उठा रहे हैं. एंड द लॉज दैट 3 laws that Mendel gave. Okay, up to page 147 till the NCERT questions are given, you have to do. Further evolution is deleted. Okay, so I hope a bit more is clear what we have all studied. We will be coming up with short videos, short revision videos or PPTs. Please keep revising because it is now high time. Keep revising and keep doing as many questions as you can. Keep solving the papers. Don't just sit and read the text or watch the YouTube videos. Solve the papers, solve the questions, as many as you can. Okay, take care and all the best. All the best.